I'm back. So we just spoke with a nurse, which was really good because we had talked to a couple teachers, and we just really wanted to get the perspective of how this was affecting people in the healthcare industry. And so she said one of the main reasons why she's here is she just really feels like this is an attack on the middle class, and that the middle class, the more and more rights that you take from the middle class, like people aren't going to have a voice, and it's not going to stop. It's going to be a slippery slope where they just keep taking away more and more rights. And she said, I mean, ultimately, she's a nurse at UW, so it's going to really affect their, like almost everyone we've talked to, affect their insurance, affect her pension. She also said something that was really interesting about how this could have a pretty big impact on the health care that nurses are able to provide for their patients. So kind of an indirect or direct effect on the services that people get. Because if you take away people's rights to bargain for their work conditions, one of the really big things that the unions do is that they kind of regulate like the hours that people work. And she said that she's just kind of afraid that if this does pass, that nurses are going to have to there aren't going to be limits, they'll be working a lot more hours, and that the quality of care that they provide for their patients is just going to go down and decrease. And she was really nice. She also said something that was interesting, that although doctors aren't going to be as directly affected by this, that they're very much in support of the nurses. Because I think if you talk to any doctor, the nurses are kind of the ones that they do the most kind of direct services with the patients. They kind of carry the hospital. Mm-hmm. So if they have to work like 13, 14-hour days back to back, not only are the services going to go down, but the hospital is just not going to be able to function as well.
And she said something interesting about cuts to Badger care are basically going to cause more people to be at the hospital, and it's kind of like once they're there, nurses can't just turn people away. Right. So there's going to be a lot more emergency room care. It's basically going to shift a lot of pressure onto nurses and hospitals. When, like she said, the reduction in collective bargaining is going to impact their ability to negotiate work conditions. So back to sort of the original nurse culture where you'd work like a 12-hour shift at a time. Right now they can regulate that, but so that was interesting.
And again, she kind of mentioned, she talked about St. Mary's, how it's a private hospital, and although they do pay more for their pension and more for their insurance, they actually get paid more. Mm-hmm. So it just seems like it's just a really strong cut in a lot of ways on kind of the work conditions, the salaries of people in the public sector, whereas it's not really affecting people in the private sector because they generally get paid more. And so if you take away their benefits, they aren't really left with very much, and the services that people receive are going to suffer, which can impact the care that people get.
Yeah. Great. Well, thanks, Kara.
Thanks.